The words you hear when you wake up from sedation can change your entire world. For Jennifer Taylor, those words came from Dr. Marcus Chen, the anesthesiologist who had put her under just an hour earlier. His face was serious, carefully composed in that way doctors practice when they need to deliver news that will frighten someone. "We found something growing in you," he said quietly as Jennifer struggled against the fog of sedation still clouding her mind. Those 6 words launched her into a medical nightmare that would test everything she thought she knew about her own body. It was supposed to be routine. Jennifer was 42 years old, a high school English teacher in Portland, Oregon, married with 2 teenage daughters. She had always been conscientious about her health, keeping up with annual checkups, eating reasonably well, exercising when she could fit it into her busy schedule. But for about 6 months, she had been experiencing persistent digestive discomfort that she kept dismissing as stress or getting older. A burning sensation in her upper abdomen after meals. Occasional nausea that would come and go. A feeling of fullness even when she hadn't eaten much. Her primary care physician, Dr. Sarah Walsh, had listened to her symptoms during a routine visit and recommended an endoscopy to rule out ulcers, gastritis, or acid reflux. "It's probably nothing serious," Dr. Walsh had assured her. "But let's take a look just to be safe. Endoscopies are very common, very safe, and they'll give us answers." Jennifer had put it off for 2 months, telling herself she was too busy with work and family obligations. But when the discomfort started affecting her sleep and her ability to enjoy meals, she finally scheduled the procedure for a Friday morning in late September. She would get it done, receive good news or a minor diagnosis easily treated with medication, and be back to normal by the weekend. The morning of the procedure, she followed all the preparation instructions carefully. No food or drink after midnight. Arrive at the surgical center at 7 in the morning. Someone had to drive her home afterward because of the sedation. Her husband Mark took the morning off work to accompany her, planning to bring her home and then head into the office for the afternoon. The check-in process was efficient and professional. Jennifer changed into a hospital gown, had her vitals taken, and met with both Dr. Raymond Foster, the gastroenterologist who would perform the endoscopy, and Dr. Chen, who would handle the sedation. Both doctors were reassuring and matter-of-fact. They had done thousands of these procedures. Jennifer would be given a medication that would make her sleep lightly, she wouldn't remember anything, and the whole thing would take maybe 20 minutes. The last thing Jennifer remembered was the cool sensation of the sedation medication entering her foreline and Dr. Chen telling her to count backward from 10. She made it to 7 before everything went black. What she didn't know, what she couldn't know while unconscious, was that the routine 20-minute procedure was stretching into 40 minutes, then 50, then nearly an hour. Dr. Foster had found something during the examination, something he needed to photograph extensively, measure carefully, and biopsy from multiple angles. In the observation room, Mark was starting to worry as the expected completion time came and went with no updates. Jennifer began to wake in the recovery area, that strange half-conscious state where you know you're awake but everything feels distant and foggy. A nurse was checking her blood pressure. Mark was somewhere nearby, she could hear his voice. And then Dr. Chen was leaning over her, his expression serious. She tried to focus on his words through the sedation haze. "Something growing in her stomach. Not expected. Need to talk more when she's fully alert." The words penetrated slowly, like drops of ice water, each one bringing more clarity and more fear. Growing. That word carried so much weight. Tumors grow. Cancer grows. Things that kill you grow inside you while you go about your normal life, unaware. Is it cancer? Jennifer managed to ask, her voice thick and slurred from the medication. "We don't know yet," Dr. Chen answered honestly. The doctor collected tissue samples for biopsy. "He'll explain everything as soon as you're more awake." The next 30 minutes felt like 30 hours. Jennifer slowly emerged from the fog of sedation, becoming more alert but also more terrified as her mind cleared enough to fully process what she had been told. Mark sat beside her, holding her hand, trying to reassure her while clearly frightened himself. They had 2 daughters at home, ages 16 and 14. Jennifer had so much life left to live. This couldn't be happening. When Dr. Foster finally came into the recovery bay, he was carrying a tablet computer with images loaded on the screen. He pulled up a chair and spoke gently but directly. "Mrs. Taylor, during the endoscopy I found a mass growing on the wall of your stomach. It's about 3 centimeters in size, which is why you've been experiencing discomfort. I took multiple biopsy samples that have been sent to pathology for analysis." He turned the tablet so Jennifer and Mark could see the images. The inside of her stomach looked pink and healthy in most areas, but there was a distinct raised area that looked almost like a small mound of tissue, different in color and texture from the surrounding stomach lining. "What is it?" Jennifer asked, her voice steadier now but still frightened. Dr. Foster hesitated in a way that made Jennifer's stomach drop. "I don't know yet. In 30 years of performing endoscopies, I've never seen anything quite like this. It doesn't look like a typical ulcer or polyp. It doesn't have the appearance of the gastric cancers I usually see. The tissue looks organized, almost structured, but it's definitely not normal stomach tissue. That's why I took extensive biopsies from different areas. We need the pathology report to tell us exactly what we're dealing with." Jennifer went home that afternoon with instructions to rest, take it easy, and wait for the biopsy results that would take 3 to 5 business days. But there was no rest, not really. She lay awake that night imagining the worst. She researched stomach cancer survival rates on her phone at 2 in the morning while Mark slept fitfully beside her. She made mental lists of everything she needed to tell her daughters, everything she needed to organize if the news was terminal. The weekend stretched endlessly. By Monday, Jennifer was barely holding herself together. She had told her daughters that the doctors found something that needed more testing, trying to keep her voice calm and reassuring while her insides churned with terror. Her school's vice principal had assured her she could take whatever time she needed, which somehow made it feel more real and more frightening. On Tuesday afternoon, Dr. Foster called. His tone was cautious. "The preliminary pathology results are back, and I have good news and confusing news. The good news is that the tissue is not cancerous. The tests show no malignancy, which means this isn't stomach cancer." Jennifer felt a wave of relief so powerful she nearly collapsed. "Oh, thank God. So what is it?" "That's the confusing part," Dr. Foster continued. "The pathologist is puzzled because the tissue contains cells that shouldn't be in your stomach. They're organized in a way that suggests they're not just random abnormal cells. He's running additional tests and has sent samples to a specialized laboratory that deals with unusual tissue findings. I know this isn't the complete answer you wanted, but not cancer is a huge positive." Over the next week, Jennifer felt like she was living in a medical mystery novel. She was referred to an oncologist specializing in gastrointestinal cancers, Dr. Philip Martinez, just to rule out anything the initial pathology might have missed. He reviewed all the images and the preliminary results and offered his opinion that it might be a rare type of benign tumor called a teratoma, a growth that sometimes contains different types of tissue in unexpected places. But teratomas in the stomach of an adult woman were extraordinarily rare, almost unheard of. A surgical gastroenterologist, Dr. Linda Patterson, thought it might be something called ectopic tissue, cells that had grown in the wrong place during Jennifer's embryonic development and were only now becoming problematic. She had seen a few cases of ectopic pancreatic tissue in stomachs, though this didn't quite fit that pattern either. 3 different specialists, 3 different theories, and no one could give Jennifer a definitive answer. The waiting was excruciating. Every meal was a reminder of the thing growing inside her. Every moment of discomfort made her wonder if it was getting worse, spreading, becoming something dangerous despite the reassurances that it wasn't cancer. Finally, 2 weeks after the endoscopy, Jennifer received a call asking her to come in for a meeting with Dr. Foster and a pathology specialist named Dr. Amelia Rodriguez. The fact that they wanted to meet in person rather than discuss results over the phone made Jennifer's anxiety spike again. She and Mark sat in a small consultation room at the hospital, holding hands, bracing for whatever was coming. Dr. Foster and Dr. Rodriguez entered with thick folders of test results and images. Dr. Rodriguez was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a precise way of speaking that suggested years of delivering complicated medical information. Mrs. Taylor, Dr. Rodriguez began, the specialized testing has given us a definitive answer about what's growing in your stomach. You have something called a gastric choristoma with cartilaginous differentiation. Jennifer blinked. I'm going to need that in plain English. Dr. Rodriguez smiled slightly. You have cartilage tissue growing in the wall of your stomach. Cartilage is the flexible connective tissue that normally makes up parts of your nose, ears, and joints. In your case, for reasons we don't fully understand, you have a small mass of cartilage tissue that developed in your stomach lining where it absolutely should not be. Jennifer stared at her. I have cartilage in my stomach? Like, the same stuff that's in my knee? Essentially, yes, Dr. Rodriguez confirmed. A choristoma is a mass of normal tissue growing in an abnormal location. It's benign, meaning not cancerous. It formed during your embryonic development when cells that were supposed to migrate to form skeletal structures ended up in your digestive tract instead. These cells remained dormant for over 40 years and then, for reasons we can't explain, began growing recently. How rare is this? Mark asked. Extremely rare, Dr. Foster answered. Choristomas can occur in various parts of the body, but gastric choristomas with cartilage are among the rarest. There are perhaps 50 documented cases in medical literature worldwide. Your wife's case will likely be written up and presented at medical conferences because it's so unusual. Jennifer's mind was reeling. Not cancer. Not a tumor that could spread. Just cartilage in the wrong place, like her body had made a filing error during construction and was only now discovering the mistake. So what happens now? It needs to be removed surgically, Dr. Foster explained. While it's not malignant, it can continue growing and potentially cause bleeding, obstruction, or other complications. The good news is that we can remove it endoscopically, the same way we found it. I'll go back in with specialized equipment, cut out the entire mass, and you'll heal within a couple of weeks. The surgery was scheduled for 3 weeks later. Those weeks were a strange mix of relief and continued anxiety. Jennifer wasn't going to die, wasn't facing chemotherapy or a grim prognosis. But she was still facing surgery, still had this bizarre medical anomaly growing inside her that needed to be cut out. The procedure itself went smoothly. Dr. Foster performed what's called an endoscopic submucosal dissection, using an endoscope equipped with specialized cutting tools to remove the entire choristoma along with a margin of surrounding tissue to ensure nothing was left behind. The removed tissue was sent to pathology for final confirmation that it was completely benign and that the margins were clear. Jennifer woke up from this second sedation to much better news. We got it all, Dr. Foster told her with a satisfied smile. Clean margins, no complications. You'll need to eat carefully for a few days, but you should heal beautifully. Recovery was surprisingly quick. Jennifer followed a liquid diet for 3 days, progressed to soft foods, and within 2 weeks was eating normally again. More importantly, the digestive discomfort that had been plaguing her for months was completely gone. The choristoma had been the cause of her symptoms all along, pressing against stomach tissue and causing inflammation and discomfort. 3 months later, Jennifer underwent a follow-up endoscopy that showed perfect healing with no signs of recurrence. Dr. Foster showed her the images, pointing out where the choristoma had been removed. The stomach lining had regenerated completely, looking healthy and normal. But the experience had changed Jennifer in ways that went beyond the physical. She had faced the terror of a cancer diagnosis, had felt the helplessness of waiting for results while imagining the worst, had navigated contradictory medical opinions and rare diagnoses. She had learned that bodies can do strange and unexpected things, that not every scary finding is life-threatening, and that sometimes the strangest answer is the right one. She became an advocate for preventive screening in her community, sharing her story at health fairs and with friends who kept putting off their own checkups. If she had continued ignoring her symptoms, that choristoma could have grown large enough to cause a perforation or significant bleeding. The routine procedure she had been dreading had literally saved her from serious complications. Jennifer also gained a new appreciation for medical professionals who are willing to say "I don't know" and keep investigating rather than jumping to conclusions. Dr. Foster's honesty about never having seen anything like her case, combined with his thoroughness in testing and consulting specialists, had led to the correct diagnosis and successful treatment. So what would you do if you woke up from a routine procedure to hear those terrifying words about something growing inside you? How would you handle the waiting, the uncertainty, the parade of specialists with different theories? Would this story convince you to finally schedule that screening you've been putting off? These are questions worth considering because our bodies sometimes surprise us, and sometimes that routine checkup is the thing that makes all the difference. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Share your own medical scare stories if you're comfortable. And if this story resonated with you, if it reminded you to take your health seriously and not ignore persistent symptoms, please subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Be sure to watch our next recommended video where we explore another remarkable medical journey and the lessons learned along the way. Thank you for being here with us through Jennifer's story.